Okay, so in today's math lesson, what we're doing here is dividing with fractions, but we're also dividing with mixed numbers as well, which is kind of great and difficult at the same time. So there's just an extra step we need to make sure we're doing here in order to be successful. So let's go through it. So we have Carly. She has 4.5 walls left to paint in order for all of her bedrooms in her house to have the same color paint. However, she has used almost all of her paint. She only has 5/6 of a gallon left. How much paint can she use on each wall in order to have enough paint? Okay, so first let's draw what this thing kind of looks like here. We have 4.5 walls to paint. So let's see. Let me start with a tape diagram here, and let me get those 4.5 walls. So actually, what I'm going to do is draw 5 walls and split one for half. So let's see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's wall number 1, wall number 2, wall number 3, wall number 4. And I'm going to put a little dotted line here. I'm going to put a 1/2 right there. So there's my 4.5 right there. So 4.5 walls, and she needs to do this with 5/6 gallons of paint. So 5/6 gallons. All right, of paint. There it is. So notice I put the end line right here because that's what she needs to use the paint for, the 4.5 walls. Now, so I can see that I need to take my 5/6 and split it by the 4.5. The problem is they're not all the same size. This guy here is half the size of the others. So what I'm going to do is make everything the same size. And once I do that, now I have something I can use to divide. So I started with 4.5 walls, which really means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 halves that I need to divide. So this turns into 5/6. I'm taking my total. I'm going to divide it by my 4.5, which becomes, take my 5/6 and divide it by my 9 halves. There they are, 9 halves. Okay, so the drawing helped me out with that, and it helped me set up my division problem. Now I'm ready to rock and roll. A couple of ways I can go about this. One method would be to make common denominators. And my common denominator is 6, but this guy here, that's a 2. So I'm going to change him to a 6 by multiplying both the top and bottom by 3. I wind up with 27. And since my denominator is the same, I only have to divide my numerator. So this becomes 5 divided by 27. 5 divided by 27, which as a fraction looks like this. So 5/27 gallons of paint she needs to use on each of the remaining walls. Okay, or we can multiply using what we call the reciprocal or the multiplicative inverse. So 9/2 becomes 2/9 of 5/6. And once again, I get 10 over, in this case, 54, but this simplifies, becomes 5/27. So same answer. Okay, so there we go. 5/27, 5/27, and I'm feeling pretty good. Okay, so let's take a look at the next one. Let me clear the board here. Let me cruise up here, calculate the quotient. Once again, I'm starting with a mixed number. So the first thing I would like to do is convert that to a fraction, or in this case, an improper fraction. So here's my 2/5. So let's work on this 3 4/7 a little bit. Notice I want sevenths, everything in sevenths. Now I have 3 whole over here. So my question to myself, I suppose, is how many sevenths do I need for 3 whole? Well, if I draw that over here, here's my 3 whole, and I split this into sevenths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are my sevenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sevenths for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sevenths for that. I do wind up with 21 of them. I wind up with 21 sevenths. Now, I already had 4 sevenths. So if I put those together, here's my 4 sevenths over there, I wind up with a total of 25 sevenths. So that's the value, or that's the number I'm going to use, 25 sevenths. There they are. Okay. Now, once again, 2 methods. I can find common denominators if I want and divide it that way. And in this case, my common denominator is 35. Okay, so this would be a times 7/7 to get me to that 35. So 2 times 7 gives me 14. And on this guy, this is a times 5 over a times 5, because 7 times 5 gives me that 35. And 25 times 5 gives me 125. okay? And since my denominators are the same, I only have to divide my numerators. So 14 divided by 125 looks like 14 over 125. And there's my answer, and it's already simplified. Or I can run the reciprocal. So in this case, I'm going to get 7 over 25 times 2/5. And again, this is just another method. And I can multiply across. I get 14. And there's my 25 times 5 is my 125. There's my match for this guy and that guy. So that's my answer. Okay, folks, so that's the deal. Find those fractions and then do your thing. Okay? Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.